I'm Victoria. I'm Vanessa. Yeah, it's okay if you can't tell us apart. I guess we would call it Twingineering. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back.
Our 17th episode of Twingineering. Okay, if you're new here, we made this podcast as a resource for first generation Latinos, Latinos, and other minorities in engineering, just to provide any resourceful information that we can. We did start off with just Victoria and I, but my favorite part of this podcast has been featuring other people, just so they can provide more perspectives than we can. So, yeah, today we have a special guest, Adheli. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Adheli Gonzalez, or Adheli Gonzalez, however you want to call me. And I am currently a project supervisor at McMaster-Carr, and I'm currently in their expansion department. We're expanding our warehouse, so I'm helping oversee some of the projects that are related to that expansion work. And when I was in college, I studied mechanical engineering and minored in electrical engineering at Columbia University. And since then, I've moved back to Chicago to live with my parents and my brother and be in a happy family.
Love that. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. So we are gonna start off with a little bit more of a conversation to get the conversation going. We'll do weekly highs and lows. We will start with the lows first. Does anyone want to start? If not, okay, I'll start. So my low, it was like really busy this week. At work, I think one of the days was like one of the worst days because I like made lunch plans and then like people started coming in and then like I wasn't able to get the test setup going, like it stopped working all of a sudden and then it was like time to leave and then I was like why are you people coming right now? And then like anyways, so it was just like a lot that day, like I felt like I was rushing everywhere. So a little intense.
Were the people not supposed to be there?
I mean, they could, but it was just like they didn't let me know, so I was not expecting them.
Oh.
Dang.
And then I was like about
sorry.
to leave, and then they came, and then I was like, what are you doing here?
You're like, bye.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Go back where you came from and try that again.
Yeah. So that was my low.
For me, my low, I can't really think right now, but like one thing is like when it snows, and like recently it was like they had expected like 3 to 4 inches of snow, but it wasn't gonna happen in the morning. So I was gonna be at work and then it was gonna snow. And then the way back, it was like every man for himself, you know? And then like it did snow and I was like, oh darn it. I was trying to be delusional and I was like, nah, it's not gonna be that bad. But
it was bad.
Yeah, like the highways are usually like what they clear first. But even that, it was like the snow was just like falling, so like can't really like you can clear as much as you can, but so everyone was going like 40 miles per hour like on the way back. And then like on the way you saw like some cars that were like off-roaded. I don't know if that's a word. Where they like went off the road.
That sounds like a word.
But yeah, they were just like in the snow and they just like they're stuck. And I'm like, dang. Anyways, I made
Was
it
it
home.
hard to see?
No, it wasn't like windy or anything. It's just like I think because like some parts were slippery and then some parts weren't. So like you do have to like keep a distance and like if people do try to like go faster and then like you try to stop, like you can't brake hard. So like I'm pretty sure they probably just didn't like leave enough space and they're like, oh, I don't want to crash the car in front of me, so they went off the road. But yeah, there was like a few and I was like, okay. And then there was like once I got off the main road and then I had to like make a left to come into like this little street, right? Oh my God, it was the slowest left turn I've ever made in my life. But I was like, and the light was yellow and I was like, I'm sorry guys. Like
Slow motion.
Yeah, and they're just like watching me, but I was like already past the line, so I had to go. And I was like, okay. But yeah, I just hate driving in the snow. But
It
yeah,
really sucks.
it
It's
does.
hard, especially like you have to have good wheels. Well, sorry, good tires. You have to have good tires on your car.
Yeah,
I just think of it in Spanish, and then it's like wheel. No, tires.
yeah,
Mhm.
you do.
No, but I knew what you were saying though. Like it made sense in my head.
I know.
I'm glad we were all speaking the same language, even though it wasn't the appropriate term.
And then they said tire, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I had two names.
Uh,
Dang. Let's see. My low is that I was cleaning my room the other day and I had to throw out some old shoes, and that makes me sad. Um, I accumulate a lot of things and it's hard for me to let go of things that have sentimental value to me, including my shoes. So it's like this is the end of this chapter. Farewell to these shoes. But I recently got a lot of new shoes, so it helps fill the void a bit, but still a little sad to let go of some of the boots and sneakers that I wear in the past
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
yeah.
I also like, oh,
Go ahead.
like when I moved to Ohio, I couldn't take everything, so I was like, ah. And then now I just buy things, and I'm like, I don't think this is any better.
I mean, if you're planning to stay there for a while, it makes sense that you're accumulating the stuff that you're going to be having. But if you're planning to move out, at least like from your place soon, that's going to make it a little hard to move out. I mean, regardless, it's always hard to move out. So
Yeah. Thanks for validating my feelings.
you're welcome. I also buy new stuff and I'm like, I have nowhere to put it. I'm like, but yay.
You're like, at least I'm happy with my purchase. We can figure out where it fits later.
As long as I know that it's there, or actually when you go shopping in your closet is the best part. When you're like, wow, I didn't even remember I had this. And then you're like, oh, this is cute. Let me use it this weekend. That happened to me yesterday.
Well, that's good.
Thank you also for, supporting my delulu-ness.
Always.
So we can do weekly highs. So this was like a week ago, but I went to the Santa Barbara Zoo to do like this capybara encounter. Recently I've been thinking that like capybaras are super cute. Have you seen what they look like? No.
I don't think so.
They're
Maybe
like,
I've seen it.
yeah, they look like guinea pigs, but like they
Big.
look like the kiwi.
A
Like they
kiwi?
have like fur. Like that's what I mean.
Oh, like on the outside.
Oh,
Look.
like they feel like kiwis? Is that what you're saying?
It's very bright, Victoria.
I know.
Nice. Oh, that's cute.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But they're huge. Like she was like 130 pounds. But she
We
likes
don't
eating.
judge.
Yeah. That's not what I meant. I mean,
We
'cause, like,
don't body
for
shame
their
here. I'm
size,
kidding.
I weigh more than that.
Everyone's
So
body
Me
is
too.
perfect. She's like, that's
God,
both of you.
you were like, they're huge, huh?
Oh my god.
I mean, but like, because usually she said that they're like around 100, like a
Wow.
little less. So, I think she was like pretty big for her size, or like for
She's
a
above
capybara.
average.
Yeah. Anyways, but it was super fun.
Good.
You said you petted them, or what
Oh
was the
yeah, like we got
interaction?
to like
Okay.
scratch them with like these scratchers. We can't touch them with our hands because they're like a little dirty. Like they'll swim and then they pee where they swim and then they swim and they pee. So it's kind of gross. But um they like eating also. So like we had these like little tongs, and then we gave them we gave them like vegetables, but no, but like continuously, like if she saw that, like if she was done, then she would go to like someone else and try to like look for food from them, and she'd be like, okay, like it's time, and I was like, okay, girl, hold on, and then but she was cute. It was fun.
Nice.
It was a fun experience.
Oh, do you know
Mhm.
how old was it? A he or a she?
She was 5, I think.
Oh,
Mm.
Yeah.
how old do they live up to? Do you know?
No, that would have been a good question to ask, but there was another one, and his name was Antonio, and he was like 1, but he's like
Oh,
half her size, and he's like 50 pounds.
Mm.
interesting.
They start
That's
small, I guess, and they grow like really big.
Like most
wow.
things.
Hmm?
I said like most things.
Yeah. It's because I thought they were smaller in person, but they're actually like,
Oh.
Like even the baby, like Antonio.
yeah. He's a little shy.
He looks like a
It's like, have
donut.
y'all met my friend Antonio?
Pulls out the capybara.
Oh,
Uh, now I'm warm.
Me too.
I will go. Um, for me, I recently planned a Europe trip with some friends. I made it out the group chat. We like actually sat down and booked our like flights and where we're gonna stay like these past 2 weeks. So it's official. We have to stay friends until then. I'm just kidding. But
How far away is the trip?
it's in July.
That's a
So
long time, so keep the friends close.
keep talking to them.
Keep talking, be friendly, try not to stir the pot.
Until after.
Yeah, the drama can happen after you land. I'm kidding. Be friends with them after too, so you can then be like, oh my gosh, remember that time we were in Europe?
Remember? Yeah, but it was fun. Like I mean, besides like trying to plan everything like pretty fast just so we know what we were gonna do, but I'm excited. So yeah.
It takes a lot to plan for a trip, so good for
Yeah.
you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you.
Let's see. My high would be, I don't know if y'all heard, but Cheyenne's going on tour.
I did not.
Yeah.
No,
But thank you for
dang,
telling me.
of course. Tickets go out, I think, on March 8th, and he's starting to go on tour in August. And so I'm ready, and my mom's ready, and we're gonna I'm gonna have to start learning all his songs again so that I can sing them. I have until August, so hopefully I'll be disciplined until then.
Yeah.
So then I can just sing my heart out and just make other people's ears bleed while we're
Right.
at the concert.
Or you'll get like really tired of the music by then.
Don't say that. Don't say
No,
that.
you won't. I was like, that would be for another person who's not disciplined.
Exactly.
You
Or
could
maybe I'll just have to like
Sounds-
what is it? Put in other music as I'm learning his music
Mhm.
so that then I don't get tired of him.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you can delete every other song in like your playlist and whatever, so you can only listen.
To him for the next what?
You
This
have to
is
learn
it's
somehow.
almost March. And that's a couple of months out there. I mean, that's a great suggestion, and I will consider it. And
That's going in the drafts.
I'm putting it in the one of the files in my brain, and
The archive.
I'll yeah, I'll look back on it and if it's time to bring it up, I'll consider.
Okay.
So moving on to something new, either like that we learned in our current role or like something that we tried. I do not want to go first this time. I can't think of anything, so or we could just cut this out, but
I mean, I can go first.
Yeah.
So something new that I've been trying, or have been trying for, I would say a couple of weeks or months now, are new communication tactics, especially at work. And communicating to different audiences and making sure you're bringing them along for the journey. So one thing that's worked well for me is formatting PowerPoints or recaps in the form of a Q&A, where it's you ask the question that you're looking to answer, and then you provide the answer. It makes it easier for the person to digest the information. And you're also putting yourself in the other person's shoes by asking in the question format. And like if you're saying, how does this affect you? Then you're thinking about that particular audience and you're able to think about it more and tailor it accordingly. So that's been something I've been using. I think it's been very helpful for me and it's gotten positive feedback on it. So putting it out there.
Wow.
Nice.
That's actually very useful information.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Victoria, do you want to go or?
No, you can go.
Okay, well, this is not work related, but so I started jogging on like Thursday or Friday because I'm in a dance team, and on Wednesday we only like all we did was like run the piece like back to back for like 15 minutes. So I was gonna throw up, but I didn't. So I was like, I gotta work on this cardio. So I bought some running shoes, and I'm gonna start my jogging journey.
Yes.
Like,
Proud
wow.
of you, queen. How long are you running for? Are you running based on length or just
Yeah.
based on distance or time?
So on Friday, I was just like, let me see what I can do, right? So I just kind of like jogged for like 10 minutes. But I think like what would help me more with like this whole cardio thing is like interval running. God, why I can't say my R's today. Um, so like doing like really fast and then like doing like a slower jog and then like really fast and then like a slower jog. Just because like that's how like when I dance, the piece is like 2 minutes or something, like 2 to 3. So it's like I have to learn how to have the most energy in the short amount of time. But I haven't really set that up yet. I was just like on the treadmill looking out the window, like, oh, this is not too bad.
That's awesome.
I
I want to
think
be a running girl, but I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
I think mine is kind of similar. Like last week I went to well, I told Vanessa this, to like a dancing session. It was for someone who her style is called clowning, and it takes a lot of like chest, back, and like movements. And so like but you have to like breathe through it. So I also felt like I was gonna throw up. Um like halfway through.
Maybe just
It
do
just takes a lot. Like it's a lot of energy. Like it's not, you can't like not go full out, I think. Um
Dang.
yeah, so you have to really know how to like control your breathing, and it takes a lot of energy. And so like I've been walking at the gym like on incline for like long periods of time, and like at speed 3 or whatever to like kind of keep it going. But I'm like, maybe I need to like up the incline or something so I could like almost pass out and be like, just kidding.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. No, but like,
slowly.
yeah, no, I move up. Like when I go to the gym, or like when I go by myself, I'll do like I'll start off at like a smaller incline, and then I like go up as like I get used to it. So hopefully that'll help. If not, I really don't like running, but if I have to.
I've watched, there was this girl on TikTok that I saw, and she out of nowhere wanted to be a running girly and then just randomly ran, I don't know if it was like 10 or 15 miles. She's like, I manifested this for myself. I'm a running girl now. And then after that, she just kept running and running. I think every Friday. I don't know if she would do it other times, but she would run a lot, even though she wasn't used to running. And then other girls are like in the comments, oh my gosh, if you can do it, I can do it too. And then now they started their running journey as well. And people had to tell her in the comments that you shouldn't just do like half a marathon every single time.
Yeah.
And so she's learning to pace herself, I think. So good for her.
Well, she's very ambitious.
She's very ambitious. Because can you imagine? Because
No.
she said, I used to not be able to run a mile, and then now I'm running like 15 miles. I was like, sis, I want to be there too.
But not as fast as you did.
Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy. I've never had a runner's high before, and I've always been very curious about what that felt like, but I don't think she's described it in the videos that I've seen either. So maybe y'all will be able to reach the runner's high in your new adventures.
Maybe. I have been avoiding it, but
You want to avoid the runner's high?
well, just like running.
Running.
Because I feel like you could do the same like with walking for long periods of time, like or like the Stairmaster. The Stairmaster really gets you.
So I've never used a Stairmaster before, but just going upstairs is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll definitely tire you out.
Yeah.
I feel like y'all
Um,
are learning how unfit I am.
No, girl. I didn't choose to run by choice. It's by force. Because or else I'm
No.
gonna pass out every time.
Yeah, that's how I found out how unfit I was. And I was like, okay, we need to get it together.
No, I feel that. I bought a walking pad, so I guess um it was meant for my to like walk while I'm working, but
Yeah.
she's still sitting there packed, and I
Maybe
need
she'll
to
come
get
to
her
you.
out.
Yeah,
Say
she'll
it
come
again?
out. I was like,
She'll
maybe
come
she'll come
out.
out soon, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see how we end up using her, whether for walking or trying to start jogging. I just hope I don't just like fall over because there's no handles. Can you
Oh.
imagine? And there's just I think it's a remote. So I think that's gonna be an interesting time.
I was gonna say like maybe if you put it near a wall, but then you'll just be staring at a wall the whole time.
I mean, I'll probably still be staring at a wall regardless.
I guess.
It's inside.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll open like the window, but I'd still only see maybe the cats that are trying to come into my like our house, and then them just leaving their residues of after eating out there. So I think it'll be a great view.
Okay, so we'll move on to the theme, which is Adheli. We'll start off with the first question or like topic. So why did you study or why did you decide to study mechanical and electrical engineering?
Good question. So I learned that I wanted to study engineering when I was in high school. I did an engineering summer program for women over a summer, and I really liked it. And I was like, this is really cool, like math, science, physics, woo. And then in high school, I took a physics class, or I started taking physics classes, and then that's where I confirmed that I was interested in doing this in college. And I originally applied for biomedical engineering when I was applying to colleges. And as I was starting to learn more about the engineering programs, I learned that biomedical engineering is technically like a subsection of mechanical engineering. And so to help my job prospects, give me more variety if I ever wanted to deviate to a different direction, I thought doing something related to mechanical and electrical engineering could be helpful. And then since I'd still be doing like the basis of understanding how things work. And I then also I was debating between either doing a Mechie major or an EE major, and then a Mechie minor or an EE minor. And then
Mhm.
as I started taking more courses, that's when I learned that I wanted a Mechie to be my focus, but still be able to learn EE since it was even helpful for some of my mechanical engineering courses. So that's where that all came about.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be helpful for people deciding or listening if they're like between majors. Yeah, I feel like they kind of go hand in hand, like EE and mechanical engineering. Um, when I first was interested in robotics, I was like, oh, electrical, but like there's both, and I was like, okay, never mind.
I feel like as they've been adding new disciplines, I think they're getting more and more interconnected. I think same goes well, I think it depends on which college you go to. For us, computer engineering was also electrical engineering plus computer science. I know it's different in
Mm.
other colleges, but I think they're just adding more and more things together. So like for robotics, it's CS with like Mechie and EE.
Yeah,
So they're really trying to get them all in together and be like, here, learn all of this beautiful
yeah.
engineering.
They like do three majors, these three.
Exactly.
So next question. So how did you end up in management and in the role that you did?
Hmm. So when I was applying for internships when I was in college, there was a recruiter that reached out to me from McMaster-Carr to do a management program internship over a summer. And as I was debating between either doing that or engineering related internships, I thought about the pistachio ice cream that HSF tells us about to make sure to try something new. You like don't knock it until you try it. So I decided to try management, and I did it and I really liked it and I liked the company. So then I got a return offer after the internship, and then that's how woohoo, we love return
Yeah.
offers. It made senior year a lot easier.
Yeah.
Um, so I was very grateful for that experience, especially since it was during the pandemic. So it was great having that job security. So definitely very grateful for that. But I ended up doing management at McMaster-Carr, and the way that McMaster-Carr works is that they continue to rotate you around different areas of the business regardless of how long you've been at the company.
Mm.
So right now I'm in their expansion department. So like I mentioned, we're expanding our warehouse and we're also automating some of our processes. So I'm helping with some of that work. And before that, when I started off in their shipping department and then went into the capacity management team for the distribution center. And it's been nice to see different areas of the business so you can learn about like people management, strategy, and operations, and being able to see all of that, I think has been very exciting. There's never a dull moment, especially since they're rotating you around different areas. There's always something new that you're learning. And even the things that you learned like 2 or 3 roles ago can still help you in your new role. And I feel that a lot of the random things that I learned by just asking questions because I was curious about it from my previous roles have been helpful for my current role. So got to keep learning and evolving. So it's been a good experience.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for anyone considering management roles?
Yeah, I would say I think it depends on if they want to do management for what they're currently doing or they want to do management not related to what they're doing. But since I'm doing management not related to engineering, and I think doing rotational programs are very helpful since there are a lot of companies that do that, except the rotational programs tend to be limited to like a couple of years, whereas mine is for the rest of my career. And I think that helps. Those rotational programs are helpful so that you can learn about different areas of the business, but then also learn how to go from a trainee to a manager. So I think if you're looking to do management for the first time, that'd be a great way to do it. And if you're within, like, let's say you're doing engineering and you want to become a manager within engineering, I think understanding what the trajectory looks like, if there is that opportunity for going up the ladder within your current company, and like asking if that is an opportunity and how long that would take, probably doing that first there, and networking around to see what that looks like and if folks have advice for that, since I think there's general strategies for getting promoted, but I think it's also important to know what the dynamics are within your own company, since that definitely plays a factor.
Yeah, I recently like graduated from like a rotational program. And I would agree it's good to like rotating in other departments not only helps you like understand what each department does, but then also like how it like they connect or like how they all like work together. And then like management does look different in each of those departments. So along with like maybe some like rules or like flexibility. But yeah.
Agreed. And you definitely learn a lot about yourself in the process. You learn about what helps, what's the foundation that you need to be a good manager or within the management field across those different areas. Like, what are the things that you always have to have, or what are the things that need to change based on what you're doing, whether it's a project role or an operations role. I feel that that's very helpful. But then you also learn if you're which one you're more interested in. So then I know for other, like in companies not that are not McMaster, they tend to ask you what you're interested in after that rotational program. I'm not sure if it's the same for you, Vanessa, and then you end up staying within that route based on what you decided that you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I know it is different like at different companies. For me it was like we like start in one department and then we like kind of rotate into other departments, but then we would end up in the first one we started in. So that's like the role that you technically apply to. I mean, unless like when you rotate and then you're like, oh no, I like how, you know, what they do in this department more, like unless you speak up about it. But I did like my home role first, like what they did. And I would also say like when you do rotate into other departments and you get to see what like the different managers and like how they manage their teams, I think it's good to like take from each of them and like what do I think is beneficial to take from them and like how they manage their team, or like what do you want to leave, like well I don't like how they do this, or like how they can improve, you know what I mean? So I think that's been beneficial too.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I've definitely been learning by observing
Yeah.
also of things that I like, things that perhaps I do differently, or where is there room for improvement, and how can I bring my own like spice into this so that because if each manager has their own management style, but even understanding how each person works is very helpful, and ensuring that your whatever your management style is, it's compatible with where you're working and with the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good advice. I was not in a rotational program, but like I think at my company I'm like able to move around. Like it's not something that's like difficult to do. So if I was ever like, oh, I don't really want to do test engineering here in this area, like I want to do like PCB layout, then I'd be like tell my manager and then he'd be like, okay, and then he'd like put me in there. But
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
so there's that. But thank you for offering it. Your rotational programs. I feel like the rotational programs are like good. Like I wanted to do one. It just didn't work out that way, but it works out this way also.
Yeah, and I
Um,
mean, that's why internships are also helpful if there's something that you're able to learn while you're in college, so that that gives you direction when you're applying for jobs after
yeah.
college. That's also another opportunity. But even as we're still, I mean, we're very young, we're still deciding what we want to do with our, like the rest of our career. I think that
Mhm.
rotational programs are definitely helpful for you to learn a lot more quickly about different areas and where your interests lie.
Yeah. Um, Adeli, was there anything else that you wanted to like add or like talk about, like maybe we didn't ask about?
Um, One thing that I would mention is that even though I'm not doing management related to engineering, I'm still very grateful to have studied engineering, and I think it has still been very helpful, especially I think studying engineering helps give you a particular mindset where you are very detail oriented, but you also know how things work in the grander ecosystem and how things work together. And then you're also tend to be a lot more strategic. And I would say like not more strategic, but strategy is something that comes with the studying engineering. And you're also a great problem solver and think through how you're going to get to resolving a particular issue. And I think that's the beauty of studying engineering. You're innovative, you're creative, and you're able to use that lens wherever you end up going. And I think that there's also, and if management is something that people are interested in pursuing in the future, I have seen a lot of like people in C-suites that studied engineering when they were in college, but are no longer doing engineering in their current role. So I think that there's more and more people that are going into management after like having studied engineering. And I would say there's nothing wrong with choosing a different path than what you studied in college. I know sometimes people think that, oh, maybe it was a waste of time. I should have known that I wanted to do something different earlier, but I think you need to embrace it's helpful to embrace what you did learn, how it affects your mindset, and then be able to take advantage of that and apply it to your work and see if there's anything from your perspective that could help project something forward, because I think there's something valuable in having different perspectives in a workplace, and having an engineering background with people that are have maybe, I don't know, an econ background with someone with a political science background and an English background. Like everyone working together brings different perspectives. And I think it's very beautiful to see that all coming together, but it's helpful to really ground yourselves that you bring a lot to the table, regardless of what you ended up studying in college versus what you're doing in the future.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And also kind of brings like peace to mind for anyone who's like, oh, maybe I don't want to do engineering for the rest of my life or wants to explore different paths. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
So the first submitted question is, what advice would you give your younger self?
What advice I'd give my younger self? I'd probably say to put things into perspective. I would say I'm even using this now where I'm really trying to think if something doesn't go as I intended it to go, what's the worst that can happen? Normally, the worst that can happen is actually not even that bad since you're able to pivot to different directions. And I don't know, everyone has a really great network of people that you're able to learn from each other and pivot as necessary. And so something that sometimes I like to think about is that if you think about Have y'all ever seen that zoomed out view where it goes from you and then to like a view of like your street and then your area and then like the world and then like outside?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Technically, we're all specks of dust in the universe. And so if you think about, I don't want to minimize anyone's problems or things that they're going through. I do want to acknowledge that things are hard to get through and everyone's feelings are valid. But personally, it's helped me to put things into perspective that I'm a small speck of dust in the universe and things will get better. Things aren't as big of an issue that we're making them. Sometimes we make things a lot bigger in our own heads. Sometimes we have to get out of our heads and think about, like, assess the problem, learn from it. And I'm also religious, so I think leaning on the fact that God is always by my side and God has a plan for me makes me also feel a lot better that if something doesn't go as I intended, there's a reason for it, and it's all about redirecting me to where I should be going in the future as well.
Yeah.
And if you're
Yeah.
not religious, it's the universe moving things around in your favor.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think what also, like, I know you asked Adheli the question, but what
Please
has like
speak, we want to
also
hear you.
I just want to like
She's like, ask me now, ask me, ask
I-
me.
I'll add
She's
on.
like, I have a good one.
I'm raising my hand. No, I think what has also like helped me is like understanding that I can only like focusing on what you can control, right? And it's like I can only control what's like what I'm able to. Like if something comes out of the blue, it's like I had no control over it. So it's like it wasn't my fault. And then it's like, okay, well, what can you do now? Like as a result of that, like what are you gonna do? And not like you said, like kind of get out of your head and not like only focus on like the problem, like kind of focus on how, if it was like something bad, okay, like what's a good solution for this? And how can we move forward? So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I also have a hard time with or like I'm trying to get better at it when like things don't go like the way that you plan. Well, I mean, obviously things usually never do, but like trying to feel like you're like, or not trying to feel like you're in control. Because like for me, I'm always like I need to, like fix this, or like I need to be able to do this, or like be in control of this. And then sometimes I'm like, no, you don't. Like, and sometimes that's hard for me to like do, and like talk myself out of. So yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah. I think even journaling about it is also
yeah.
really helpful. That way, sometimes I write something and I read it and I'm like, wow, she's a little, she's, she needs to, she needs to make a plan for this, like Vanessa was saying. So then you think about, all right, or thinking about, sometimes I like to also think about what advice would I give to a friend that's going through the same situation.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that helps me get out of my head because I would tell my friend, don't worry about it. It's not
Yeah.
that, like, that wasn't in your control. Just
Yeah.
think about what you can do going forward. Sometimes I do that to myself to help me.
Yeah. That's actually really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see,
And
like,
then like with the whole journaling thing, I feel that you're able to kind of do that because you're seeing it, the words on paper, and then it's coming out of you and then it's outside of you, and then you're able to write your thoughts or what would you do to help Adheli?
Yeah.
yeah, because it's like different, like when you're talking to someone else versus like to yourself. Because I feel like we're so hard on ourselves, and like you have to fix this right now, or something bad's gonna happen, or something. But then if you're like talking to your friend, you're like, it's gonna be okay, and you're like giving them a hug, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you're being genuine with them. So
yeah,
it's like if you're being nice to someone else and you're asking them to be kind to themselves, then think of yourself as your own friend and be like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like just like giving yourself grace too. Like also like when I mess up or like when I'm like not doing as good as I thought I was, but it's like it's always like when I'm doing something for the first time and it's like why in the world would you think that you'd be an expert when you're doing this for the first time? Like
Yeah.
calm down, you know what I mean?
Because she came out as an expert from the womb.
Yeah, I was born
I'm
like
like,
this.
yeah, I'm an engineer, come out the womb.
You're like, and I'm gonna fix all your problems.
But not mine.
You know, it's a learning process. We're getting to it. As long as you think about your problems outside of yourself, you'll be able to then solve your own problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey.
It's all here.
Mic drop.
So we have one more question. What is the most interesting thing about your current role?
The most interesting thing about my current role, I would say, is so I mentioned that we're automating some of the processes that we currently do in our distribution center, and we're expanding it. And I think what's awesome is being able to be part of that change that is going to exist in the coming years. And I would say like we have different facilities for our company. And so our facility is the first one doing this. And we're setting a precedent also for the other facilities when they're going to do this and when we're also opening a new facility. So being able to see that change from the beginning to the end and then being able to work through it, I think is beautiful. And I think it really feeds my engineering mindset where I'm like, oh my gosh, I saw this from the ground up and I am able to see my work in like being played out every day. I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy about my job is being able to see the fruit of my labor and then being able to experience it, see how other folks are also interacting with it, and always being grounded in the user experience so that we make it a good experience for everyone. And I think that's also a very engineering mindset where it's thinking of the human-centered design and making sure that we are doing something for our end user. So I think being able to see something from the ground up, being able to participate in this monumental change is awesome. And saying that I had something to do with this work. I would say it's similar to when people are like in NASA or SpaceX and they are working on a big project. And even though they contributed to like one small piece of like, let's say a rocket, they know that they helped create that. And something that I'll never forget is one time, I think I heard that one time, I don't know if it was at NASA or it was somewhere else, where one time I think a person asked like a custodian, like, oh, what are you doing? And then he said, oh, I'm helping send someone to the moon or something like that. And I think regardless of what your role is, wherever you're working, you're playing a part in a bigger picture. And that's something that I'd like to think about. I know sometimes people say, oh, we just sell nuts and bolts and screws. And I'm like, no, we're helping like college students be able to do like their own prototyping, because I was a college student that bought from McMaster and we were building like a snake robot, or I don't know, helping Taylor Swift concert come about because they're a customer of ours and they are building like a stage with us, and we're helping bring a lot of community people together and enjoy the beauty of music. So I think that's something that I always like to think about, what is my role in the grander scheme of things, and that makes me very happy with what I'm doing. And I feel like that could bring also a lot of peace to other folks if they thought about their job in that way.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good.
Thanks.
And that's why we brought you on.
Thank you.
So that was it for the submitted questions. So thank you all for joining us for this episode. And thank you, Adheli, for joining us today.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
yes, of course.
Yes.
We have a new website, so go check that out. It's on WordPress now. You can find our episodes there, any of our features, things like that. We will be uploading this episode in about a week. So I think, what day is that?
The first, March
Okay,
1st.
March 1st, 5 p.m. We'll see how frequent we do these this year, but most likely once every month. So if you haven't checked out our previous episodes, go ahead and do that as well. Our podcast is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So any of those will work fine. But I think that's all for today, right? Vanessa, do you have anything? No?
Yeah, if anyone's interested or like wants to be a part of it or has any questions that you want us to address during these podcasts, feel free to reach out. You can DM us, DM our joint account. But yeah, thank you.
Woohoo!
And cut.
Yeah.